Well, welcome, Breydon. So,
hey, guys.
Welcome to our Oddball Podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Not a problem. I am our host, Johanna, and I am co-hosted here with my guest and daughter.
Hi, I'm Mya, the co-host.
Our co-host. Yes, we are here traveling around our community, talking to people about all of the oddball things that they do to keep themselves creative.
All right.
And also about the journeys. We've all had different journeys in creativity and how that has brought you to where you're at.
Yeah.
And also we're hoping to inspire the youth. We really want to make sure that, the youth are having places that they can go, safe spaces to be creative as well.
Nice.
And around that. So welcome and thank you for joining us on our Oddball Podcast.
Right on. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we are known as the Odd Pod.
Nice.
Odd Pod.
I like it.
Yeah.
That's some great branding.
Yes.
That's perfect.
Yeah. We're all about that. So first off, tell me a little bit about. Well, you're a musician.
Yeah, I'm a musician. I teach music.
Yeah.
I'm a podcaster as well. And so just anything that I like, I find that I enjoy consuming, I also kind of want to be involved and create creatively as well, right? Mm-hmm. So like with the podcast, when we started it, it's so funny. When I started it, I thought, man, everyone already has a podcast now, but that was like 11 years ago.
Really, everyone has podcasts.
Yeah. Now, really, everyone has podcasts. But it was like, I don't know, there's just so many. But but that was never the point. Same with music. Anything I ever done is never like the point was always just to do it. Maybe not necessarily the results of it or what like having. Of course, there's like a fantasy outcome in your mind of how it's going to be perceived and how popular it's going to be. But at the same time, for me is just the joy of doing it.
Right.
And I think that's really important in any creative endeavor, just to be psyched about the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. And part of our process here is also the fact that we have some plasticine on the table.
Yeah.
We encourage ourselves to be creative as we are going through this process. And so we've got plasticine. So if everybody, while you're talking, we're having this conversation, you want to play with plasticine, we encourage you to make something as well. So feel free, Mya and Breydon, to grab what it is.
Out of everything I'm artistic with, this is probably the least, but I think I have an idea of what I can do.
You have an idea. Good. Yeah. I have no idea.
Me either.
Mine may end up looking like a teal gray blob, like a communist nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's okay. Yeah. I have no plan either. It's kind of like a fidget toy for us.
Oh, nice.
Right?
That's good.
Yeah.
To keep me from looking directly into the camera.
Yeah, that's...
the entire time.
Oh, right on. So you're a music teacher.
Yeah.
And so you deal with a lot of youth and kiddos in there. And
lots of young
lots
kids.
Of kids have fidgeting and want to get on the drums.
Yeah, exactly. It's sorry, I'm automatically starting my process or my thing, so I hope I'm not in the shot. There's a lot of well, it's like I'll teach anyone of any. That's the thing, right? It's mostly kids, but anyone of any age, but majority kids, and there's like a huge difference between like teaching a 5-year-old versus teaching a 12-year-old versus teaching a 15-year-old versus teaching I've had students in their 60s and 70s and stuff. Wow. One of my first years, this is like a real test. My first year's teaching, I had like a 75-year-old blind guy.
Oh, wow.
And it was really, I didn't know how to handle it at the time. I think I'd handle it better now. It wasn't bad. It wasn't like a freak out. I didn't panic or it was fine, but it was just you gotta allow yourself to realize everything's gonna be really slow. And you just gotta take your time. And another thing is like, you can't, kind of like with the musician thing or making music or even with the podcast, even with teaching, you can't necessarily be so like results oriented, which is what I kind of was when I started teaching. I almost thought like, okay, by the end of a month, I want these kids to be here, here, and here. And it's good to set those goals, but not to be overly focused on them.
Attached.
Right? It's like, because everyone learns at a different rate. And especially children, they all learn at a different rate. And you just got to be, I think, especially with teaching, you can kind of get in your own head of like what you imagine the parents expect out of the kids.
Right.
Like you think like, okay, if this kid's not rocking by a certain time, they're going to think I'm not doing my job or I'm not, but the truth of the matter is someone's skill level, there's like a million factors other than the teaching. There's how much they practice, how into it they actually are. There's just natural talent involved. But yeah, so a lot of the time, especially with younger kids, so much of it is just getting them comfortable and tactile. And then you realize, like, even with me, I love playing music and I love playing guitar and I have my whole life. But it still took me, like, I've been playing since I was 11, I've been playing since 11. I'm 36, so it's taken me this long to get to where I'm now, like several decades of playing. And I think about how long it took me before I was even strumming chords comfortably and stuff. I don't know. It's one of those things where, like, if you're really into music and you really want to get into it, it is kind of a lifelong endeavor, right? So I try now not to get it too in my own head about, like, this kid needs to be at a certain skill level at a certain time. I just you have to go treat everyone as an individual and go with, like, okay, so they're progressing at this certain speed and that's totally fine. Yeah. If they want to keep going, they keep going. I almost think more my job is to educate, but to make the educating process as fun as possible and make it as interesting as possible for them so they continue doing it. Because really, that's the only thing that actually the thing that makes you really good at any given instrument is effort over time. Mm-hmm. That's the only real thing there's no shortcuts. And trust me, a lot of kids want a shortcut. They want all right, so if I just do this one thing instead of this one thing, can I skip 10 years of practicing? It's like, no, unfortunately not. You got to practice your scales. You got to do all the boring stuff. You just got to make it as fun as possible.
Yeah.
I think, did I answer your question? I can't.
No, I think so. No, absolutely. But what it makes me think is, what did 11-year-old Breydon, who inspired you when you were 11? How did you and why did you get started at music?
Well, I always loved music. I think I had my father, Jerry House, was really into music, and he had this huge. So this is like, I'm gonna sound like an old person. It was like pre-streaming and everything. So he just had a massive CD collection. He like 300, 400 CDs, and I would just, as a kid, you see these big physical stacks of CDs, and he had them all in these nice like wall cases, so it was like hanging on the wall. It looked like a CD store, and then a ton of vinyl, and so you're flipping through it, and it just looks like a bunch of artwork to you, right? And so I remember I was getting it. The first thing I got into was like rockabilly, like Elvis and Buddy Holly, and then I turned like 6 or 7, and the thing I really gravitated towards was the Kiss stuff because they look like cartoon characters and superheroes and stuff. And so, and I was always kind of an attention hog kid. Like I would try to do comedy bits. I would try to do Ace Ventura bits in front of my family when they had friends over and stuff. So it was I was always a ham.
Right, natural born entertainer.
Yeah. I just wanted attention really badly. Nice. So I would do my ham thing, and then I started getting into music, and then I remember I got like kind of like a toy. Those like Walmart would have the equivalent now where it's like a guitar kind of. It's technically counts as like a real guitar that you could plug in, and there's strings and stuff, but it's just so slapped together. It's like anyone could. There's no way you could actually really make music on it.
Right.
I had one of those, and I remember my dad had a bunch of concert videos, and they were always playing in the house in the background. So it's just like these live shows, and I was a huge Kiss fan at the time, so I'd get him to put all his Kiss concerts on when I was just hanging around the house. And I remember I saw Paul Stanley smash his guitar once, so I remember smashing my toy guitar.
Right.
Very
very enthusiastic.
Yeah, very
Right on.
And then I remember there were maybe like I was probably 8, and it's funny, I feel like I'm talking a lot about Kiss, but they reunited and with the makeup. So they had no makeup. For Kiss historians, they took the makeup off for a period of time. Then they put the makeup back on with the original members, and they did because they were kind of fading in popularity.
Yeah.
And then they put the makeup back on, original members, so they were big again. They're doing a big tour, and I remember my dad brought me as an 8-year-old. And that was just as a kid, it's the coolest thing, because like Ace Frehley is shooting rockets out of his guitar.
Right, yeah.
Gene's flying around the stage. I remember very distinctly, because I had the makeup. My dad, they did me up as Gene. I don't know if you guys entering clip. I'll send you a photo of it if you guys want.
Yeah, for sure.
I got a little 8-year-old me as Gene. But I remember distinctly we were walking up to the show. It was in Edmonton. It was like the first time I'd been to Edmonton. We got a hotel, and then some guy walked up to us, and he gave me and my dad like a couple of Ace Frehley picks. And then later on, when we were in the stadium, we realized that was Ace's guitar tech.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he was on stage setting his guitars and stuff. That was really
sweet.
So that experience made me want to be a musician.
Yeah.
I was like, this is if you get to just kind of fly around, if you get to essentially be like, I mean, like in a different timeline, I could be like a theater nerd going to see like Beetlejuice or something.
Right.
And being like, seeing like this larger than life stage thing. And as a kid who loved attention, but I think that cemented it.
Yeah.
That, and then maybe like when I was 12, I went and saw AC/DC.
Right.
Same situation with my family.
Yeah.
My dad and one of my school friends, and that was like, okay, and that maybe cemented more. I want to be a guitar player.
Right.
Seeing AC/DC.
Because you do play a multiple of instruments, and so is guitar like your number one? Like
by far and away, the thing I'm best at. Yeah. And I think like a lot of people, they start on one instrument, and then just almost through osmosis, sometimes you start learning other instruments by hanging out with other musicians, and other instruments are around, and then you start picking them up because you're messing around. And,
Yeah, right. You just naturally start gravitating towards different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So Mya, if you had to pick an instrument and were inspired to play an instrument, what one would it be? What would you think?
Well, I think I would also probably pick drums, because it seems like you can get a lot of like
fun.
aggression out on
on them.
And the drums just like go ham. So
definitely. Yeah. In fact, that's how they sound best.
Yeah. So I feel like that's probably where I would be headed.
Where you'd go with the drums. And so do you have a band that would inspire you? A real drum band?
No, not really. No, I don't know.
Yeah. No, right on. I'd have to say drums too. That's the one I always gravitate to.
Drums
Only
are
because
fun.
in my mind, I always think it's easy.
A lot of people do.
But it's not. I know.
Same with bass. Bass. A lot of people I'll have a lot of people a lot of first time musicians who come in as kids with like bass or drums, and they'll be like, yeah, I just think it's easy, or it looks easy. I'm like, guitar is easy if you play the simple stuff. Everything's got complicated versions of it.
Yeah.
You know, so anything is as hard as you want it to be.
Yeah.
You know, like there's genius level stuff on every single instrument. And you can't there's a version of being a guitar player that's as simple as being any bass player, right? But drums I do find there's something a little more primal about drums, and there's something a little more. Often when you have a young kid, like a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, I find that they do take to it more than they do guitar a lot of the time, because sometimes it's just a physical thing. When people don't realize when you're just starting out guitar, it's like a metal string under high tension that you're putting onto the fretboard, and that hurts your fingers when you start. It's painful. Right. Yeah. And so to like just to make a singular bad sounding note, it hurts. So a lot of the time, like kids will start guitar and then they'll realize, oh, to do anything I have to go through like a minor amount of pain, right? And so I have to do it over and over and over again to get good. Drums doesn't have that barrier to entry. It doesn't hurt as much to hit something with a stick, you know. Guitar is a lot more. Yeah, it's a lot. There's just a little more like you got to go through some growing pains with guitar a little bit. Just getting used to chording, pressing and another thing, hitting a drum hard, cleanly is a lot easier than hitting a note on guitar cleanly, I think.
Well, yeah, I feel like guitar would be more technical and like type deal, but
for sure. And then it's like, but then it comes down to like having rhythm, and sometimes that's a really difficult. Some people have a natural sense, some people don't.
Fair.
Although that's not even the biggest barrier, because I find with teaching, especially teaching young kids, and the biggest thing over a long period of time of students can be, it's a weird thing to say successful, because it's like, how do you define success in the arts? Doesn't make any sense. But like students who I've seen grow the most, it's definitely not the most talented students actually, or naturally gifted. It's always the kids who are way more determined to just continue to do it and practice, and like it's like the boring thing of like exercise and eat your vegetables. It's like just put your head down and practice and you will get better. And like those are always the students I have that are the most skilled by far, are the ones who put their head down and just do it. Interestingly enough, I find super duper talented kids who are just kind of really good out of the gate can be a hindrance. It can be a big hindrance because a lot of the time, a lot of the stuff comes really easily to them. And so everything's going easy, and they're just doing it, and they're like, oh, the guitar's easy. I can do this. And every new technique, every new skill set. And then eventually they're going to stumble upon something that's not easy. Doesn't come naturally to them. And a lot of times, if it's someone who's really talented, they were going to want to quit. Right? If it's like, or if they don't have that drive, that's the thing. You got to have the drive. You got to have the drive to continue to do it. That's why I say that's the most important thing. They're going to want to be like I've seen a lot of kids that would just start super duper talented, and then there's something that comes along that's not quite how they wish it was, you know, or like they want it to be easier than it is, and the frustration of that, and dealing with the frustration of that inhibits them from like continuing doing it, or at least for a little bit. I imagine those kids probably pick it up later on in life, and with a little more maturity. A lot of times it's like a teenage boy who doesn't want to hear that they're not amazing at every single thing they've ever done.
Right. We've all had those moments.
Totally. Like, what do you mean I'm not the best?
What do you mean? I am the best.
Of course I'm the freaking best.
Right. So after you learned to play guitar, then that was your first instrument. How long or when did it take you to start your own band, your first band? Were you high school band?
I was in a band before I was really good at guitar.
Right.
I started at 11. My first band was probably when I was 12.
Okay.
Grade 7. Yeah. And we were playing gigs like almost immediately. Like,
really?
Yeah, that's the thing. When I talk about like drive and stuff, because I wanted to be in a band more than anything. I wanted to be a musician more than anything. Right. So almost like my teaching and my playing music were almost started side by side, because my friends didn't know, and I had the smallest idea of how to play these instruments. So I was sort of teaching my friends how to play their instruments so we could all be in a band together, essentially.
Okay, so you're creating a band.
Like, especially bass, right? Because I already had an idea of how guitar works, so I could show them roughly how bass worked, you know, in my mind. Yeah. And it worked in the context of the band, especially a brand new band. Yeah. And then my drummer, my first drummer just kind of had to learn on his own, and then but so like later on when I was like 16, I had to do the same thing with another drummer friend of mine, where I just liked the guy as a friend. I had a kit. I started teaching him how to play drums, and then but
that's really interesting how you naturally like started teaching like right off the bat.
Because I just wanted to do it so badly. But
no kidding.
But even then, like, so it was and I gotta say, God bless the parents of drummers, because it's like you're like, you know, there's a lot of advances in like electric drums, and they're cheaper, and it's a lot easier now. But back then when I was starting, it was like acoustic drums were like the only option because electric drums are so expensive.
Yeah. And
so like Josh Renier's mom would let him, you know, when Josh wasn't good, would let him practice full volume. We'd practice every second day. Right. So 3 days a week we'd be practicing at Josh's house, making awful noise for like an hour and a half, and then they'd cut us off. And it was like, that was so foundational to like my development, the band's development, but also they would have to listen to really bad music for 3 days a week. And it was so loud, it was unavoidable in that little house. But like just doing that every other day, we got good enough to do a show like within a few months.
Really?
Yeah. We had like 4 songs.
Paid show, free show? Just
free. It was always free for a long time, I think. Actually, it was... he's an artist known as Handsome Tiger now, who's singing. Oh, yes. He gave us our first show. He was in... he was in high school. He was like 2 years older than us. Right. So he might have been like at the upper end of middle school. And he would do all these DIY shows in town. Right, yeah. And so our first show is they would rent out the Crest Theater back when it was still standing. Yeah. It's like an old theater that was abandoned. And they would do these DIY shows, and we asked if we could play, and they gave us a shot, let's play. Mm-hmm. And that was huge for us. To play like, because it was actually a big stage with, I don't even know how they would put, like they were kids. They seemed older when I was thinking about it, but they were kids. Yeah. I don't know how they put it together. But that was huge for us, because then we played that live show, and we're all hooked, and we were all, after that, completely dedicated to the band we were together for 4 years, and it was like that every other day thing, which got better and better and better. Yeah. And we're learning how to play with each other, so we had particularly good chemistry because we were all developing together, you know? Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so it was like, around 12, started playing, and then I think I was in that band until I was like 14 or 15. And what was the name of the band? We had a few names. Especially when you're young and
how do you pick a name for a band? That seems like such a big, kind of responsibility when you're a kid, because you probably have so many ideas.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think our first name was Terraplane Tommy. Okay. And then our second name was, I think we had a few. I remember Shake Appeal was the one we ended up settling on. Yeah. I think. Yeah, I'm almost positive. Yeah, it was Shake Appeal. And then it was just the 3 of me and my 2 other friends, and then we got another friend to play lead guitar, who I was kind of teaching at the same time. And even then, like, when we were talking about like, the joy of doing it, like when we'd hang out, I'd go for sleepovers, we'd play video games, and then we'd put on the White Stripes Elephant album or the Hives, Tyrannosaurus Hives, and we would just sit there with our guitars and learn to play every song on the record. Right. And that was fun for us. That was our idea of recreational activity, right? And we just, and by ear, try to get these chords and like, that was so, like, just doing that, like, enjoying that made me so much better, because it was like, you're developing your ear, you're developing technique, you're, all that stuff, a sense of rhythm and a sense of timing. You're playing to a record, so your timing's tight, right? Just doing that over and over again, like completely changed.
So were you guys at that point writing your own music, or were you doing mostly covers?
I was 99% covers, but I was from the very beginning, I wanted to be writing my own songs, because I was like, the only books I was reading at the time were like autobiographies of musicians. And I think, what was I reading? It was either Keith Richards or Johnny Cash's autobiography, where they're talking about how if you don't write your own songs, you're only half a musician. I'm like, well, I don't want to be half a musician. I want to be a whole musician.
I'm a whole musician.
Yeah. So,
I know I am.
So I started writing. And then, so right from the beginning, there was always 1 or 2 original songs. Yeah. They weren't great. I remember I made my dad help me write lyrics for my first ever song that I wrote.
Oh, that's sweet.
Because I just didn't know. Yeah.
Didn't know what you were doing.
Yeah, and he's really well versed in music. He's got great taste and stuff. So it's like I got him to help me just figure out what even a song structure was, what a chorus and a verse is, and like how to do it. And
Well, it's just so much, like you said, like it's so intricate. It's one thing to learn the music, like how to play an instrument, how to, play drums and all that. But I never thought, the whole writing of music itself is an art form.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's a different muscle, right?
Yeah.
It is like one of them's like, it's closer to like the performance muscle. One of them's closer to like just writing is like a totally different thing. If I haven't written in a while, it's like when I go back to trying to write, it is like not having worked out in a long time and going back to the gym or something. It's mentally more difficult for sure.
For sure. And good old Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Mya loves Johnny Cash.
Nice.
Yeah, she was a good fan of Johnny Cash, weren't you?
Absolute classic. Is any people your age starting, like, what's like, when I was a kid, this is going to sound like an old man, like, when I was like...
Way back when.
Yeah, there was a lot of bands. There's like 7 or 8 bands in my high school, and there was like almost like a bit of a gang mentality too. It wasn't healthy. There was a lot of like...
A gang mentality?
Yeah, it was like, our band's better than their band.
Oh, okay, yeah,
and we're the best, and and if we're the best, then everyone else is the worst, actually. It was really like, I remember being really shitty when I was a teenager to other musicians sometimes. But I always ask like younger people who are into the arts and stuff, what's the thing now? Are there a lot of bands? Are there a lot of people trying to start YouTube channels? Like, what's the creative endeavor?
Personally, when I was in high schoall, there was a lot of rappers. Like
a lot of rappers.
People trying to like be on like SoundCloud rappers, we call them. Right?
Really? Yeah.
They're all really, really bad.
Is it like a lot of mumblecore?
Yeah,
guys,
a lot of like okay, going to like the gang mentality. There was a lot of like diss tracks. I feel like people would make about other people at school. That
rocks.
was like
That would be so fun.
Yeah,
because our talking was just by ourselves. And it was not entertaining.
Like a lot of beef throughout,
Rap beefs in school?
Yeah, in school,
That's the best.
But
I want to hear about that so
Well, there's
badly.
this one kid, his rap name's KIR, and he's still going at it, like, today. Like, he's been doing it since middle school, and, like, someone with drive, for sure.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Just keeps doing it, right? And you just get better and better.
Mm-hmm. And you can definitely, like, see his improvement. Like,
has he dissed? Has he got...
He's dissed, and he's been dissed. So,
so it's like, it's not his first rodeo.
No.
Yeah.
But, and then there's a kid I used to work with. He just did his first show with his band. They're like Screamo type people. I don't know what their name is, though. But
are they, is it not Ethan?
Casper.
Yeah. I just went and saw their show, actually.
Yeah, it was good, hey?
It was incredible.
Yeah.
I gotta look up their name.
They had like the big mosh pit and everything in there.
It was so good. It was like...
Yeah.
You get so jaded because it's like I've been doing it for, I guess, a couple decades now, and you start being like, okay, a show's a show, and it feels not very exciting. You're just kind of, sometimes you get not grateful. You feel like you're going through the motions, and then you go to something like that where it's like these young guys who are really passionate, and it was just like, it was amazing. It was just like, because it was like the energy was just it was so...
And they got like the look too, right? With the mohawk and everything.
Yes, that's the thing. They have a whole thing. They have like a set look. They were incredible. I gotta look up their name because I'm gonna.
Do you think that's like important when you're starting a band?
I think it depends on the band. Yeah. Well, I think here's the thing. No matter what, there's a look. A non-look is a look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you're gonna if your whole thing is we don't care what we look like, that is an aesthetic.
Yeah, that's the.
You're so like no matter what, you're in the look game whether you like it or not. I love theatrical big things, but that's just me. I also love it's almost a mood thing. So yeah, I think it is important. I think almost like whether you like it or not, it's important.
Yeah,
it's how people see you, and you not caring is also just another. It's like a different color.
Different kind of statement,
it's like a different color on your paint palette, right? Not choosing is a choice, right?
Right. Yeah.
It's so yeah, I think it's a bit. I thought it was so cool seeing kids in like they were in makeup.
Yeah, I would like love to go to more shows like that or like have things like that happen around Dawson.
Yes. I'm not being around. I'm trying to look up the band name right now. And it's driving me nuts.
Well, they just got on Spotify and their on their album. It's like you know how like Spotify with the songs it'll move kind of like whatever with their music video. So their whole thing is like from the concert and stuff, and it's funny you can see like people that I work with in there just like going ham, like
It was so cool.
Yeah,
I've never been. It was at the curling rink and it was upstairs. I believe in my life, never been there. I probably have, but I don't remember it. And it was perfect. It was such a perfect, like kind of low ceiling, big venue. There was a bar. It was everything you needed. And it was just like, yeah, man. People were stoked. The kids were so stoked to see live music, and especially like a cool live band like that. Yeah. I was just like, I was pretty over them. I was like, this is so, the energy was so positive in a way. And I was like, I just haven't been to a show in a long time that didn't feel like, all right, let's do sound check. How long do we got to sound check? Okay, not very long. Well, and everyone's kind of, every band's got a gripe about one thing or another about how the shows run.
Right, yeah.
It's where like, I'm sure they went through that, but I didn't see any of it. I just saw like, holy crap, it's so refreshing to see a young, aggressive band like that.
Cool.
Well, yeah, everyone said that the like vibes were super good. Like even if they aren't into like screamo music, they're like, well, I went to go support, but I actually ended up loving it, and
It's so cool.
Yeah. It's good.
Well, it'd be great to have more of those events happening, and I think they are starting to happen, but it's cultivating those bands, right? Like back to the youth and getting the youth involved, that they need to have safe spaces to play and come out, and so creating spaces like that.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They're
they're
they're renting spaces, right? So all the money they made probably goes to
renting
paying the rent so that they can practice and do another show.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, there's definitely, over the years been lots of different venues that have, hosted these types of youth bands and bands in general. I kind of feel right now we're lacking a few venues in our community, but being creative in the spaces, right, what we have, like the curling rink, is a great use of that space then.
It's so, and it's like kind of cheap to rent, which is so important for younger bands. Like making it affordable, and maybe they can make a little bit of money. Like it wasn't like, that's the thing, you're getting the, I think I found it. No, that's Dawson Creek Finish. It just has a very metal logo. I'm so sorry. I'm really trying.
I know it's like all.
Necrotic.
I can't read it. Oh,
Necrotic is the name of the band.
Nice. Yeah.
Found it.
Good. Shout out.
Good.
Shout
out to them.
Yeah. What were we talking about? Sorry. Oh yeah, I was asking. Okay, a lot of rappers.
Oh yeah.
Diss tracks. That's so.
Yeah, that was a big one for sure.
Do people buzz about diss tracks if they're particularly good?
None of them were particularly good, in my opinion. But there was definitely like.
Did they get personal?
I was fine, like, oh yeah. There was, I don't know if I want to like say everything, but yeah, there's definitely some good disses, people's girlfriends and stuff like that, you know, kind of thing. So.
What's a diss track without getting personal, right?
Yeah,
you have to get personal.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's always fun trying to figure out, like who's that about? Like, who's this one about, or whatever, right?
Yeah,
and, But
like coded sort of metaphorical lyrics and stuff. You try to decipher them. I wonder if it's okay if you're a girlfriend and you get thrown into a verse of a diss track. Is that like a badge of honor? Are you like, oh, cool? I guess it probably depends on the girl.
It depends on the girl. Depends on the verse. I feel like, right?
Yeah.
What's being
said about you? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, for sure. But
yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah, no.
So did you ever have one about you?
I have had a rap song made about me, yes, but it's not out. Davin. Okay. He made a diss track about me and Megan. Diss track I used lightly. It wasn't like mean really, but
was it just like for fun? It was like it was goofy.
It was goofy. It was like making fun of us for sure for being like drunk white girls and whatever. Like but yeah, it was actually pretty good. I think it's his best song that he's made.
That is made.
You mused his best art.
I did.
That's
for sure.
Huge.
Yeah.
But
so that's cool. But yeah, I don't know. I seen like a couple like different bands, but I feel like there wasn't a lot of like musical kids, noticing. You know what I mean? Like there's a couple, and then everyone else is just kind of doing their own thing. But
yeah, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone's kind of. Well, I feel like there is a lot more different. Before it was like it was a band, and our school had like facilities to facilitate being in a band too. We had a really good guitar class and stuff, but there wasn't a ton of access to do anything else. There's like sports. I hated the hockey play. I still don't like sports. And I was like, I remember. I remember like because like with other people, like my drummer loves hockey. I'm like, all the hockey players are such. Jesters. Why do you like them? Right. Why do you like hockey? In general, just turn me off the sport. But it's like, I'm not going to win any favors talking about how I hate hockey on a Canadian podcast.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah. Well, these can all be things that can inspire you, though.
Sure.
For songwriting.
Yeah.
And that. So where do you take inspiration from when you're writing?
A lot. Just literally anywhere you can, because it's hard. It's hard to make things. So like the second I start getting, but like kind of like the last maybe. So like the last album I put out 2 years ago, a lot of the sections of songs, the inspiration was almost around these writing exercises where I wanted to, like, one of them is kind of like this mood of the song shifts into an almost different song halfway through. And the idea between what made me want to write that song was the idea of I want to write a song where it's almost like you take the best part of one song and the best part of a completely different type of song and you kind of stick them together, like just kind of it'd be like taking two of these sculptures and just putting them next to each other, right? And finding a transition and making it make sense and making it feel like a cohesive piece all together, right?
Was that a challenge for you to try and do that? Or
Huge. Yeah. It was really difficult. It's a song called Get Down, and it's like the title track of the album. And the band's Vice Jesters. But that, like, for me, the inspiration to writing a song was the challenge of doing that and getting that. And then there was like subject matter I ended up touching on where it's like, okay, you get like a seed of something happens to you, or you think about a situation that becomes a seed of an idea for a song. And typically for me, that's what you just naturally follow that narrative into the verses and the choruses and stuff until it makes sense. Another thing that's been huge in my songwriting is just I will pick like a person in my life and then try to write a song about them.
Oh, yeah.
So, a little Taylor Swift action.
Yeah, there you go. Like, there's a song called, on the most recent called Daisy, is about like my dead dog.
Yeah.
Right? It sounds like I'm talking like the way it's structured, it sounds like I'm just talking about like a badass chick or something that's talking about my dog.
Right.
Just close friends and stuff like that, where, because every relationship I think that's for everyone, every relationship in your life that with someone close to you is unique in some way. You find the closer you get to somebody, the more you find that, the more unique things you find out about them, and like the deeper you go beyond surface stuff, the deeper stuff, that's always the interesting stuff, and that's the stuff you can sort of write about in metaphors and stuff that maybe you're not like dishing out dirty laundry, but you use it as fuel for really good metaphorical verses and yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of it comes from like personal experience,
Ton of it. Yeah, and I try to sorry, go ahead.
Do you find it like therapeutic? Like more when you're writing?
Yeah, sometimes. The one I've been like trying to crack lately is the song about my mother.
Oh, okay.
So my mom had me when she was like 14 years old.
Okay.
So she told me about this one like horrific experience she had when she was pregnant with me at 14, and that's a nut I've been trying to crack for a couple of years now, writing that song, and I have like a guitar idea that's like fitting, it fits the mood I want. And very recently, I think I've locked down. I haven't quite polished the verses, but I figured out the verses, and that was like really emotional. As stupid as that sounds. But.
Well, no, I mean it's got to be like tough, right?
Yeah. And so it's like, and it's about my mom, but specifically about that time period and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then, I can't remember. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you start like with the guitar and like the beat first, or you start with the lyrics, or does it all kind of?
Almost like always starts with music.
Yeah, it always starts with the music.
Guitar, particularly, I find like a structure or a riff I like.
Yeah.
I'm very riff oriented, so a lot of times it's a guitar riff.
And then you kind of get the words like flowing from there,
it sounds insane.
Well, I've tried to write songs, but I like won't have music in the background, so I'm like, I wonder, I'm like, maybe it would help if I tried to find a beat or something, like, or
100%,
like online or whatever, right first, and then
for me that's I can't do it. I like every once in a while you come up with like a vocal melody that evolves into something, but so much of it it's like I find a musical idea I like,
and then I lose the flow of it because there's no music behind it, right? Exactly. So it's like
100%, and then the other thing is you gotta allow yourself to look like a total psycho, because it's just like you sound so weird because you're just, at least me, I'm like playing a chord over and over again, and then you got like you sounding out a melody, and just saying nonsense, and you're just like, you know, and then you're kind of, and I remember it's like it's very like if I were to look at a footage of me doing it, I would myself like like it would just be too like
too raw,
too raw and too cringy, but it's like you got it, and that's the thing I find for me. I have to give myself permission to go through a bad first draft.
Yeah, for sure.
You just have to do it.
Doing
it's the hard thing. Like giving yourself permission to do it, and then letting yourself have a bad first draft, and then just refining until you get something you like.
Yeah, well, you got to get over like your pride and like thinking that you're the best kind of thing, right? So you can just be like, well, it might sound like crap.
You hear that 13-year-old boys out there? It's okay to not be the best. It's totally fine.
So you mentioned it briefly, but you're a band now that you're in.
Yeah, Vice Jesters.
Yeah, cool. So how many albums do you guys have?
So we just have one out right now. We've got Get Down is out on Spotify. It's out everywhere you get music. And I'm working on, I think the thing with the song I'm talking with my mom, that one, I might just work that as a single. Because I want to record it while it's kind of fresh and passionate. Yeah. So I want to record it and hopefully do a video. I have an idea, a concept for a video. I want to release it as just a single, hopefully, within the year. But, you know, happens sometimes, doesn't happen. Sometimes you know.
Yeah, fair enough. And so your guys' first album, how long does it usually take to put out an album? Like, how long did you work on that?
I think it depends on how you do it.
Yeah. Sure.
I have a lot of musician friends, and this is like a big subject for us. Is like I went to school for sound engineering, right?
Right.
So I had but it's also like there's equipment, skill level, all that stuff. So the last album we did, I recorded myself, and I mixed it myself, but because I was doing everything myself, I put certain challenges on myself. I wanted to do it a certain way. So I wanted to record the whole. I didn't want to do it track by track. I wanted to record the whole band together playing as one unit. That's a challenge in itself, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, all right, now instead of you're making decisions that are going to affect you 10 steps ahead. So like instead of miking every little part of the drum kit and then having all those options and mixing, because I'm doing it all together, I only have so many like 16 microphones I work with, but I had to do drums. We had piano, like actual live piano. And then we had the bass and guitar, and I recorded like a scratch vocal just to kind of keep us all on track. But that was like, so we had to make minimal mic setup for everybody, and we're all in the same space, so there's mic bleed going on. It's like drums are leaking into the bass, and the guitar is leaking into the drums. So that just made it really difficult to mix. The second thing I did is I wanted real room sounds instead of using like digital plugins for reverb. So I would pump the drums into like a brick hallway and then record that sound, and that would be my echo sound. I did it, but doing that, it took me like 5 days of recording just to do that, and it took me like 2 months of waiting for an opportunity to use the space to do that, right? So I probably do things a little different than that. I probably just, the digital plugins are really good. They sound great. I probably make it a lot less more streamlined next time, but I just really wanted to record an album in like a very vintage way this time around, just to see if I could do it too.
Well, you did it, so you pulled it off, right?
I pulled it off, I think, kind of.
And would you do it again?
Not that way. I would do it probably because it took 2 years. Yeah. Ultimately, it was like from tracking, and then it's like there's probably months of prep before that, and then I just by nature of the work, I have summers off, so I just mixed all summer. Sit there and mix, and mixing is another miserable. It can be fun and it can be rewarding, but also anyone who's actually mixed their own stuff knows how miserable it can be at the same time. You're just listening to your same songs over and over again. And you're so sick of it by the time you're done. But honestly, it was something I'm really proud of because it is us start to finish. It's like I recorded our songs that me and the band recorded together and wrote together, and I mixed it. And it's like you have to take ownership to the things that suck too. But you also, you can take pride in, like, I did do it. It's 100% me.
You know? Yeah, that's a really big, like, accomplishment to get through for sure.
Yeah, it was really cool. But so with I think the idea is hopefully you do it and you learn and you get better and faster. And so I'm hoping that next time I do it, I just have an idea of how I want to do things differently and hopefully streamline it a little bit.
Yeah. Do you have plans for next album?
I know I have plans on how to record it.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I had how to record it, and I have songs in my mind that I want to do for sure. Yeah. And that's why I'm like, the mom thing, it's such a ballady, serious sort of piece. Yeah. I don't know if it fits in with the concept of what I want to do for the next album. Right. And I kind of just want to put it out, to be honest.
Keep it separate.
Yeah. And then especially now, I'm an album guy. I'll always be listening to an album as a thing, but I don't know in the modern context of being a musician if putting out an album is as important.
Right.
I think people still like appreciate an album.
I think so too.
You know, like when you listen to a new album comes out, do you listen to it like beginning, like top to bottom, start to finish?
Yeah, if it's an artist I really am excited about, yes.
Yeah.
Depends. If I'm someone I'm getting introduced to and I'm like, oh, I really like that song, sometimes I'll just
jump around, right? Yeah, for sure.
But if it's someone that I'm like, oh, this new album's coming out and I'm excited about, I will.
Yeah, you're like, for sure.
And but I think you're right, because some of the biggest, most appreciated artists of all time, still that huge thing is the album.
Yeah, it's their whole like body of work that they put out. But
like I think about because Chappelle Roan put out The Giver, I think, before.
Oh, nobody listened. Like, nobody knew her. She had, like, a whole, 4 years in the music industry behind her, and then she quit and, went back home, and then kind of, blew up, and,
Exactly, and it's and I think, because it was after Hot to Go blew up, and then she did The Giver as, a separate thing from the album, but I think everyone's sort of waiting for, the next big... Her album. Her next album is going to be, the idea of it's going to be huge, right? Because that first album, and that's the thing, that album's a solid album from top to bottom. It was a great pop album.
Yeah.
So it's I think you're right. I think albums are kind
important.
Of it. Yeah.
For
sure. But it just feels sometimes it feels like that just because it's the music video. Yeah. It's you're listening to it on Spotify. What does it mean when you're streaming? What does an album mean if you're streaming it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think it's the story, because a lot of my favorite albums, it's you have to listen to the full album to get the full story, right? Instead of just the one song, right? So yeah, I like concept albums like that for sure.
And albums are kind of concept-y by nature of just, even if it's not there's a narrative, there's still a way that album was recorded.
Oh, yeah.
And a mind frame that the artist was in when they recorded that, right? So it is kind of one piece still in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
How do music videos fit in? I know back in my day, sounding like an old lady, we loved our music videos, and there was a million channels out there.
We need to bring back music videos. There's
we'd sit hours watching music videos.
Yeah, I love music videos.
Today?
What about music videos?
Yeah,
I love a music video. I love.
Make them that much.
They're hard. That's the thing. They're hard, but
it's to make. Movie.
Yeah, totally. Right. And it's really. It's one of those things where the bigger your concept is, the harder it is to pull off, and especially make it look good and feel good. Yeah. But I really love there's a lot of bands I like to do a real modern lo-fi version of a video.
Right.
I don't know, there's this artist McGee who I'm a big fan of, and he did a whole series where he was just performing a lot of his songs from his album live on a bus. And it was just the bus sort of driving through, and it was the songs would be filmed differently, and in some shots it would just be him, and then the bus driving, big window, so you just see everything flying by. And sometimes it'd be sitting on the bench, and the camera would be pulled back, and it's filmed at different times of day. Sometimes it was daylight out, sometimes it was night, but it's such a simple lo-fi. I get excited about concepts that maybe I could pull off and steal. Or take that idea of that's an obtainable thing.
Yeah, you're doing it in one location and kind of filming the whole thing. Tame and Impala did a music video like that. They have they think one of their whole albums they recorded, and I don't know, it's a studio or something, but it's all you can see outside, and it changes from night to day throughout them playing it and stuff, and there's different angles. It's super cool.
And it's such a simple concept, but it's so dynamic looking, right? That's the thing. And you can tell a story through that. I get excited about stuff like that big time. I remember having this conversation with my father about how he's oh, like I remember you gotta have a music video in your head, and I get that.
Right.
When you love a song, you sort of make a music video in your head, and maybe the music video doesn't live up to that, or a song you love and the music video you think kind of sucks for whatever reason. That kind of sucks. But I don't know. There's a reason why when I'm like, it's the weekend and I come home and I'm buzzed, I just watch music videos over and over again. I'm just like, I go on I go in my room. I have like a little unit above my bed that holds the iPad, so I just lay there and I just like go down a rabbit hole of music videos. I do love a music video. I grew up in that generation too. The music video generation was huge.
Even as a kid, I remember having like mom's computer there, her MacBook, and just like sitting in my room and watching all the like Katy Perry music videos, all the like pop trending music videos that were going on. Yeah, that was definitely my form of entertainment and stuff for being a kid.
And big music videos are back. They were gone for a while.
But now they're coming back. Like the pop industry or like the pop scene and everything.
They're putting money in it.
Yeah, it's for sure coming back. So it's nice to see.
Yeah, because I remember a lot of like, so I was watching the video for Don't Look Back in Anger. And there was a time when it's like all the music videos were made for YouTube. And a lot of them were made by just budgeted by the band themselves, so they're cool. Some of my favorite music videos were that, but I was watching the video for Don't Look Back in Anger, and Oasis, and I'm like, man, this is just so, you could just see the money in it. It's so like the drummer is like on a platform in a swimming pool playing drums, and there's just a million extras, and they're just walking around this like mansion. And then like and you're like, man, that's just a lot of money for like a very simple pop song. And it's because it's of that 90s thing where record companies were just like, the music video was the big thing. You wanted it to be impressive and huge. Guns N' Roses rented like an aircraft carrier for the Estranged video. Axl Rose jumps off of an aircraft carrier / rises out of the ocean, does a solo. Like, it's interesting to see how like, but like now they're huge again. Music videos are really high budget, really high concept.
Well, I think with like TikTok and everything, everything got really short form content, right? And so
you almost need like a good 10 seconds of a song.
Right? It's like, oh, this song sounds really good. And then you listen to the full thing and it's like, oh, it's just that one little clip that I liked. Yeah.
A lot of times it's like the bridge too. So it's like then a lot of songs, not even that part. It's just like literally the nugget.
But that's why I liked your idea about your putting your like songs together, like the best part of two songs, right? Because sometimes you listen to a song, you're like, oh, I wish I could just listen to that part over and over again, like that.
100%.
Like,
exactly.
That,
That's exactly the concept. And it kind of ended up being like a 60s girl group pop thing mixed with like a spaghetti western in the back half. So it's very weird, but like I think it worked. I remember I was recording it. I had Connor and Mark from Rose Prairie Romance were helping us record it. And I could see Connor was like, what? I don't get it.
But I get it. So
it's like, don't worry. I
get it.
Don't worry. I think I'm like, and maybe he still doesn't get it. That's fine. But like, I was like, I have this idea. I really want to, and it was like, I didn't want to abandon it because I'm like, the whole reason I wrote this song is this. I'm not letting it go.
No. Do you, like think about how people are going to perceive your songs a lot when you're putting them out, or do you not really care about?
Yeah, well, I wish I could say I don't, but I definitely, when someone criticizes my shit, it definitely hurts my feelings. So it's like, I do care whether I like it or not, but when I'm writing it, the only thing I can think about is because the only thing I know is whether I like it or not. I can't.
You're excited about it.
I feel like a lot of bands, I talked about Kiss a ton in this podcast. I feel like when Kiss got into big trouble, where I think they started to really suck, is when they were just chasing trends.
Right.
They're chasing like, all right, disco's here, we're gonna do a disco song, and then
people like this.
Or like, this is popular, we're gonna do this is popular, we're gonna do that. And it's like my favorite version of Kiss is when they were being the weird makeup guys.
And they were being oddballs.
They're being oddballs. Yes, they're oddballing it.
Yeah.
The odd father. Like that's I like, and so I feel like anything that really pops anyways is wholly original a lot of the time, or the thing that makes it pop is originality. So I'm never trying to chase something. That's for sure.
For sure.
Like, I feel like when you're second guessing or trying to guess what people like, and going to that's sort of what you're doing. You're just chasing things that maybe are outside of what you actually think are good.
Right.
I think that's kind of death.
Yeah. You lose your originality, and then for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't, and it's like, I'm like an old dinosaur guitar rock guy, and I just gotta, it's one of those things, like, if I just started to become like a synth artist all of a sudden, it wouldn't make sense.
No.
You know? Like,
right, yeah. Just totally change it.
Chasing it. Become a iCloud diss rapper.
Yeah,
what the kids are doing.
Diss rap.
Yeah.
I'm just looking over at some of these creations.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Maya, look what you made.
You have a whole scene.
Yeah, that's all very intricate.
Oh, yeah.
So much,
I have to flip it around. Okay, so this is, we don't have a name for him yet.
Oh.
Maybe Ralph.
Ralph?
I like Ralph. Yeah. Cool.
And they're in love.
Oh,
that's nice.
Oh, isn't that cute?
They were gonna be like rocker people, but I can't.
They look pretty rock and roll.
Yeah.
I think so. One's got pink hair, one's got like a green mohawk.
Yeah.
See?
That's awesome.
And then what did you have going there?
Testing.
Oh,
1, 2,
Is this thing on? A little microphone? Huh?
I love it.
Yeah. Well, that's
tried to make
cool.
it look like the Shure SM58 one.
Yeah. There you go. Simple. There you go. You put that in front of your little peoples.
Yeah.
Oh,
And,
yeah.
And there you go. They could be singing. Well, you guys are very creative, and I did not create something.
I like that.
No,
that's like
it's energy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Like, you know, the vortex of energy driving up the female side and the male side.
I love it.
No, we made a whole scene. That's their backdrop.
There you go.
That's
there
the
okay,
right.
Big microphone.
Let's make that into a scene. Put that right in front of the on air.
Okay.
We'll make a scene. Boom.
Take them out.
I really appreciate you, Breydon, coming on and
Happy to do it. Thanks
our
for having
artist. Man, we could keep talking for hours and hours. We only fractionally touched on things that I want to chat about because you do more. Like you do your podcast. And tell us a little bit about your podcast and what's going on there.
It's just recording podcasts. It's very like loose. There's no set time dates when we release it. I wanted to make it as easy as possible to do, or else I won't do it. Yeah. So there's like it just comes out when it comes out. It's called Not Feel Good People. Mm-hmm. You get it on it's not on YouTube. I gotta it's just that's my laziness coming out. It's on but it's on the podcast, Apple Podcasts, apps, on Spotify, it's on, everywhere else. And yeah, it's just me and my brother shooting the a lot of time. We'll do movie reviews. We'll talk about what happened during a week, or a lot of times we'll have a friend on, a guest. And it's filthy. It's very R-rated.
No, so I loved it. Listened to a couple episodes. I was like, this is great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, no.
If you're going to listen to anything, then listen to Frank Call. Frank Call is like, there's this insurance guy who is like harassing. He's calling me trying to sell me insurance. Right. And I put him on mic and yeah. He doesn't know he was on mic. He is, and so I recorded that conversation, and I kind of lied to him, told him I was homeless, and I tried to see how like low he would go to sell me. I tried to be like, I told him I collected cans for a living and see if he'd still try to sell me insurance. And then we listened to that on the podcast and paused it and talked about different. It was pretty great. I got him to say that he loved me.
Really?
I was like, I love you, Frank. I love you too.
I love you. Just buy my insurance.
It was like probably my favorite podcast.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really. And I tried to derail his sales pitch all the time, talking about TV and stuff, and his favorite foods and his relationship with his girlfriend. I got him to say that it's not the one that he's gonna marry.
No!
Poor Frank.
Frank
his
Call.
girlfriend.
Okay, Frank. His name's not Frank technically, but yeah.
That's what you called him.
Yeah. Because I had to edit. I edited out his name every time he said it, and then.
So did you buy the insurance?
No, I actually got him to break down and be like, you know what, I don't think this is for you.
You finally said it.
Yeah, I got him to kill I got him to admit he didn't have the insurance himself. That was beautiful.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the best way to deal with it. Yeah. Marketer.
Yeah, it was like I could turn this into an opportunity for the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
And so if you're going to listen, I say start with Frank Call. That's my favorite.
Okay, we will do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Sweet. Well, all right, team. Thank you for watching the Oddball Podcast. Follow us on our, I don't know, do we have a website?
On our social media, we will have an Instagram called @Oddball Podcast and YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah, all of the places you can find our oddball. We are looking for oddballs in our community. So if you're an oddball, get a hold of us. We'd love to hear your story. Thank you.